Wild on you. Somehow my wrestling career never took off. I'll never understand why. I missed that. Although, I was reading the other day, apparently wrestling is having like a big resurgence now. Yes, it's like it's coming back. A lot of it is wrestling fans who were kids back in the 90s who are now like in their 30s are getting back into it. And then a new generation as well, which I had no idea. I think it's cool. I'm not going to watch it, but someone will, right? That's the idea. Um, okay. Coming up on this episode of Don't Panic, we've got technology news from the world of technology, including DirecTV now no dish needed. We also talk about the Fee Phone fantastic news. We also talk about taps and dots, Facebook partnering up with the NFL, and so much more around technology. Join us, because a brand new Don't Panic is going to start for you right now. You're watching Don't Panic, episode number 124, recorded March 7th, 2016, on Taps and Dots, Facebook Football, and Max for Ransom. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast that would never wear a VR headset on a roller coaster. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by the Donnie and Marie of technology. One's a little bit country, the other's rock and roll. It's Dan Miller and Colby Rabideau. Gentlemen, what's going on? Another week of what do they say? Cashing checks and breaking necks, right? Does that describe you, Colby, and what you do each week? Oh, well, the world of digital platform development really kicks ass, that's for sure. What's I'm trying to think of what the scoop is here. It's kind of the doldrums of, I feel like March is such a quiet, long month. Because there's St. Patrick's Day, but that's not really like an super official holiday. But there's no real holidays in March. It's a long month. Usually takes up a couple solid weeks. It's, I don't know. Totally unremarkable. I like it. It's a pretty good way to put it. We've done 123 of these. I guess we just ran out of things to say. You know what the problem is? This week, and we got to be better about not doing this. Is we kind of splurged on all of our like updates before we went on the air. And we got to save some of that stuff. We can pretend it's new news. I think that'll be very exciting. What kind of couch? Now, when you say what is it, a 3-seater with a chaise, or is it an L? So one of the two seats is the chaise, or it's two and then the third is a chaise? Yes. Makes the L. Nice. Those are nice. I'm sorry. And I may sound like I just did a crap ton of couch shopping because I offered help my mother who is looking to buy a couch. And I kid you not, I spent days going to every furniture store on the East Coast. I've seen every couch they make. So that's why I'm genuinely interested. I know, well, and that's why I specifically meant if I were buying a couch, I do love the idea of the 2-seater with the chaise making the L, because you kind of get the win-win of the couch with the leg space of the chaise. but then that brings me to the next question, which is how is it possible you found one small enough to fit in your apartment? Mm-hmm. That's gonna be nice. Very soon there'll be a nice Craigslist couch in Boston if anyone's interested. Um, that's exciting. What color did you go with? You stick with the gray or you? Mm, I love that fabric. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of the couches too I saw where it's if you want any fabrics other than like the two or three they offer, it's like not only does it cost more, but it's like there were some couches where it was 12 weeks if you wanted a fabric, not even a custom fabric, like a fabric they had an option for. Still took them 12 weeks to get. They're like, don't even bother ordering it, you'll never get it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So free delivery or 20% either way. That's annoying. That sucks. That's funny. Well, but that's exciting. I have something to look forward to sleeping on next time I'm in town. To buy a couch. I loved it. I was having fun. Surprise, surprise. You can finish Fallout? I'm I'm kidding. They just Oh, Dan, did you not see? They actually just delayed it. I mean, it didn't make our rundown because it's not the kind of story that we normally cover, but yeah. Oh well. Now let me ask you, Colby, because what you described you do with games is kind of like what I do with Netflix, where I start long series and then I wait a while and then I go back to them. I mean, it takes up so much time. I get it. Makes sense. And it's smart that you're planning 6 to 12 months in advance what games you're going to be playing. It shows a real commitment. With how you schedule your video games. Wow. Mm-hmm.
Time they announce the lineup, I know like fewer and fewer of the bands that are playing until this summer where I know zero of the bands. So I'm no longer hip or in the know when it comes to
What's the
music.
name of it again?
Boston Calling.
Boston Calling. Let me see if I know any of the people in this thing.
Hey, guys.
Hey, yeah.
I've got some bad news. How would you like some bad news?
I
Can you tell it to me at like 11?
Well, I start with some good news.
Okay.
All right, the good news is we've definitely been recording the first half of the show so far.
Okay.
Would you like the bad news?
Yes.
We were only recording my side of the show because I didn't check all the right boxes, so nobody's heard anything any of you have said.
Very cool. Very cool.
Now, I had fun. I enjoyed it.
Oh my god, I said so many things.
I know. So I have an idea.
Yeah.
Okay. What if we
get someone to do a voiceover for Colby and I and jump it back in? Yes.
No.
Yes.
For the 100th time,
Yes.
Dan, we're not doing that.
You got $100 and I'll pay for it.
Lazy for that. No. So here's the new plan, right? We'll keep this little bit right here where I explain how I failed, because really this isn't on you folks.
Yeah.
And instead we'll hit the reset button and we'll start the show over and then just not do banter and then just get into the show. Because clearly I don't think we can, because we did real banter before the show and then we did banter on the show. I don't think we can banter a third time. I'm out of. I think we're out of quips.
Banter.
I'm out.
Right.
I've banted out.
So,
I could do like a 30-second rundown of everything I said. Maybe not 30 seconds. 1 minute.
There you go. We'll do. Each person gets 30 seconds to describe what they've been up to, and then we move on to the news. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's.
Well. Are we starting over now?
Well, we can, unless you've got something to.
Oh no. I have the answer to the thing about Boston Calling.
Oh.
We
Was that part
put that in the
recorded?
show, or I can.
It wasn't recorded, but you can say it for just Colby and I.
Okay.
Whatever you want. All right, I know exactly one band on this.
Really?
Haim.
That's.
They had some.
Oh, I've heard of them before. They might have not been on there. Sometimes some are late.
I want to say I've heard of Janelle Monáe also.
Oh, she was on that Fun song. She was like featured. She had like.
That might be right.
All right, so I've heard of two bands. I'm not interested in seeing either of them, or two artists.
Why is Janelle Monáe autocomplete to Star Wars? Oh, because she was at the premiere.
Oh,
okay,
makes sense.
I was like, was she in Star Wars?
All right, let's try this again, shall we?
Okay, yeah.
I'm feeling good. We're gonna really crush it this time. Here we go.
Was there a third time through? Third time's the charm.
Coming up on this episode of Don't Panic, we've got technology news, including VR on a roller coaster. Yes, it's as stupid as it sounds. We're going to talk about Mac users finally getting the problems Windows users have. We're also going to talk about Facebook buying into the NFL and taps and dots from Amazon. It's all that and more on this episode of Don't Panic. Stick with us. This is Don't Panic, episode number 124, recorded March 7th, 2016. On Taps and Dots, Facebook football, and Max for Ransom. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on Gadgets, the Internet, and You. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by the Greta Garbo and Charlie Chaplin of technology, two men who know how to star in a silent film, Colby Rabideau and Dan Miller. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Well, you know, I figured you guys have things to say, and I think the world needs to hear it. Actually hear it.
Yeah. Indeed.
Well,
anyways, so quick recap. This weekend I had a milk punch cocktail, which is weird. You should look it up.
Yep.
I got a new couch. It's a sectional. It's two seats with like a third chaise lounge seat.
for a total of 3 seats.
Yes. 3
Yes,
seats,
okay,
or
it's important.
I guess 4 seats if you
Whoa.
were
Put two
someone
people
was
on the
sitting
chaise.
on
Double
it.
up on it. There you go.
Woo!
That happened. It's like salt and pepper, dark gray, kind of like the couch behind me.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think that there was one more thing. Oh, I'm not cool anymore. Yeah. So,
Good. All right.
yeah, that's all.
Dan, you got an update?
Let me think. Yeah, Sunday I finished Fallout 4. I started watching the new season of House of Cards, which we might talk about later. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
How about you, Sean?
Oh,
Did you have any banter to give us?
very thankful. Let's see. This weekend, I also binged on House of Cards, and I'm enjoying it
Good.
greatly. I
Good.
went to the grocery store, which was somehow out of both milk and bread. I went to
Wow.
a particularly shitty
Is
Stop
there
and
like
Shop.
is there like a hurricane that's hitting only like Western Massachusetts?
No, what's funny is they had lots of bread, just not the bread I buy. And it's like, I buy
okay.
like
Oh.
Freihofer's, it's common bread. Like, it's not fancy.
Oh.
And like
gotcha.
Hood milk, it's like they only have
I
weird
mean,
stuff.
I have very specific bread needs, which are occasionally not met
And I
by
just
the.
don't. They
by
usually
the,
have 1,000 loaves, and they just have none. So that was upsetting. Yeah, and that was it. That was the scoop. So good. Now that we got that out of the way, we can get to the real stuff. The technology news, which we do, of course, every single week right here on this program. For the folks at home to watch and enjoy. On our website, don'tpanic.io, you should go there. Or just listen to the end of the show where I will repeat all of these again. Let's jump in, gentlemen. We've got some great stories, I think, here in the rundown. We've got a handful covering all sorts of technology, all of these from the last week. And I'm going to give it to you guys to
Yeah. All right.
tell me what's up.
I haven't read this story, but I suspect I know what it's about. The Gear VR on the roller coaster.
I saw this at work this week, and I'm like, this is the most spectacularly stupid thing ever. Now, did you guys, I recommend, and I'll put it up on screen for those watching the YouTube version, which you should watch at don'tpanic.io and on youtube.com/don'tpanicshow. Watch the video. I'll put it up on screen here for the folks to see just how stupid it looks. On a roller coaster. So let me explain. Six Flags is partnering with Samsung to give riders of roller coasters at 9 Six Flags locations the ability to wear the Gear VR headsets on their heads while they're riding the roller coaster. And the VR headsets are synced in real time, so when you go down a hill on the roller coaster, the virtual reality, you'll also be going down a hill. They call it, you'll be able to experience one of 2 different experiences, either the Superman virtual reality coaster or the New Revolution virtual reality coaster. As I said, 9 Six Flags across the country. You'll be able to see that as well, including if you're from Massachusetts at Six Flags New England as well. We'll have it on the Superman.
Wow.
Wow. that GIF in the article with the VR headsets slamming onto their faces at
This
high
changes
velocity,
everything.
and then their mouth, that poor woman's mouth, she's just like she's screaming in agony as like, yeah.
Like, this has to be... If this were closer to April 1st, I swear to God, I would have thought this was a prank. Like, just something the Samsung marketing thought was funny enough to get people to have it go viral.
And on the heels of the picture of Mark Zuckerberg walking around the auditorium where no one can see that he's there.
Yep.
It's very weird.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
Now, you guys may be wondering, right? The two biggest logistical concerns Six Flags addresses. One being, how do you keep it clean? And why doesn't it fall off your head? Would you guys like to know the answers?
Yes.
Yes.
The face mask has been covered in an antimicrobial leather and is wiped down before every use. And while the video shows only a single head strap, which is what it comes with if you buy it in a store, these Gear VR's overhead strap and chin strap will appear on the headset, and they're paired with a safety lanyard in case it slips off under tremendous centripetal force.
Does it say that?
No, I think that the article author says that. They have a whole FAQ on their website. I can look and see specifically. Will it make me nauseous? Because the visuals on the virtual reality screen are synced precisely with the drops, there is no motion sickness.
It's a bold claim, I think.
Yeah. I doubt it.
And it's free.
I like that because when like the person in front of you throws up, you won't even be able to see the puke coming at you. You'll just be splattered in like a warm mist.
Be like, wow, this is so realistic. I feel like I'm really being vomited on.
I wonder if that's synced in real time.
The smell-o-vision or whatever.
Yeah.
The nice like putrid acidic whiff of some vomit, fresh vomit flying across your face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well,
now can
I think between this and Trump, it's all over, guys.
This is the pinnacle of American
pretty
human
much
society.
Yeah, it's just Wally. It really is. My gosh.
Now, can I be honest though?
Uh-huh.
I don't normally get to Six Flags very often. If I happen to find myself at one, I would totally do this. Just to try
would you do it like ironically, like, or would you do it because you want to do it?
I would go in with a healthy level of skepticism, but with an open mind.
That's all we can ask.
Because maybe this could revolutionize roller coaster. Because really, what are you looking at when you ride on a roller coaster? Usually the track in front of you and a few other rides around you. There's no real visual to it. So imagine the physical feel of being on a roller coaster and the G-forces and being pulled and going up and down, mixed with a visual experience far more exciting than anything you could get at the park.
Maybe, but there's the wind on your face that's a big part of it, and you're gonna have this clunky thing on your forehead.
Yeah, you're right. Physically, it doesn't make any sense, but on paper, it is a great idea. Because think of how many times you see like Samsung where they have the people in like the motion chairs, but it's not the same like being on an actual roller coaster with the experience.
Yeah, but the difference is you don't have to be on an actual roller coaster. That's like one of the upsides of those things. You don't need to build a roller coaster.
That is very true. So you're saying
a roller coaster
you wouldn't try it, Dan?
I'd be unlikely to go on these sorts of roller coasters anyways. But
You're
if
not a
I
big roller coaster guy?
No, I do like roller coasters, but not like the upside down, like crazy ones. Like one that doesn't really go upside down or in like crazy loops. I'd be fine. The feet dangly ones, especially no.
Oh, Dan, we gotta go to an amusement park. Can we set that up?
Don't Panic live streams. What's that? It's not Meerkat's gone now, right? Is that?
Yeah, they don't do live anymore. That's right.
What's the other one though? Periscope.
We'll Periscope the whole thing. We'll get some GoPros. We'll strap a GoPro to you.
And
we'll put
on top of the virtual reality headset.
Yes. Just strap as much crap to. We'll put on a Google Glass and like an Oculus Rift.
360 camera backpack on there also.
Yeah. You'll be wired to the gills. It'll be great. sounds like a summer vacation in the making. I love it.
Amazing. I don't like roller coasters at all, really.
And so have you gone on like the Disney roller coasters?
I've never
No.
been to Disney.
Okay. Have we had a? You're not the only person I met recently who's never been to Disney.
Well, to be fair, we haven't met recently.
Say that.
Some makes
You're not the
Sorry.
only person recently who's never been to Disney.
Gotcha. Sorry for being rude.
It's okay. I'd expect nothing less of you.
Wow. Okay, this is getting out of control here. Let's reel this in. No, we'll have to figure out an opportunity to get to Six Flags and try this out. That's what I think. That's what I think.
Okay, of all the field trips we could take in 2016, like, are there any other ones that would prioritize ahead of this? Like, for example, we could go to Disney World. We could see the new Star Wars, like, section of Disney World.
Well, that won't be open for a few years.
No, it's going to be open this summer. I thought I read that.
I'm gonna double check that.
Okay,
Does
but
sound
aside, like, are like some like crazy the Samsung Experience store. I feel like we should definitely do a live report from because that place is terrible.
Which place?
The Samsung Experience store.
Yes.
It's like if you took like some early 2000s rapper's house and replaced all the fancy stuff with plastic replacements of those things, and then had a little coffee bar inside and people walking around trying to sell you Samsung devices. That would describe the Samsung Experience store.
So
awesome.
Here's what I think we need to do.
Uh-huh.
I think we need to go to do a New York City field trip. I'll get some cameras, and we're gonna hit the Samsung store, the big Apple store. We'll hit the Microsoft store, and we'll do just a tech field trip of New York City. That's what I think we should do.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Star Wars Land will open around 2020. Now there's a more temporary thing that they're setting up, what they call the Star Wars Launch Bay, which is like a super mini version, and that I think is going to open much sooner.
2020.
Well, they got to build the whole thing.
That's when the episode 9 comes out.
Convenient, isn't it?
I guess. Feels like you're missing a bit of the boat there. 2020.
Hey, Dan, if it makes you feel any better, before 2020, you'll be able to go to the new Avatar Land at Animal Kingdom.
That does not make me feel better.
No, because nobody wants to go to Avatar Land.
No. Are we ever? We're never gonna get a second one of those, right?
Of what?
Of
Avatar?
Avatar Land.
Well, if Jane... the movie or the theme park?
No. Avatar.
The movie.
The sequel.
Oh, yeah, if James Cameron just keeps delaying it, probably not. At this rate, he's not doing great with that. But they keep saying he's going to make them. A lot of money on the line. All right, let's continue on. What else in the rundown here, gentlemen? Has your attention.
The OS 10 ransomware. This was a story that confused me.
Yes, and see, that's not good because I was hoping you could explain it to me. But okay.
Well,
I'm pretty sure I understand what happened.
that's what I'm asking. But
Okay. So first off, ransomware.
Yeah.
So this is like a type of malware, I guess, like bad software, which when it gets on your computer, it encrypts all of your files, and then you have to like pay whatever bad guy distributed this software to for the key to encrypt it, and otherwise your files will just be encrypted forever, and you'll never be able to see them again.
Yeah, and this isn't new, by the way. This
No.
type of not vulnerability, but this type of attack has been around for a long time.
Yeah,
on Windows.
Yeah, right. And so like I've heard like podcasts and like radio features about this with like like poor old ladies like who have to like figure out how to get Bitcoin to like get all their family photos back, and like just terrible stories like that. So ransomware has been like relatively common on Windows, as Sean said. So the first ever known one for Mac OS was discovered, I guess, this weekend. And so what happened was that there's a BitTorrent client called Transmission on Mac OS, which is like relatively popular. Like I've used it in the past, and so their website was compromised.
For
And
downloading Linux distros, right?
What's that?
For downloading Linux distros, that's why you use the BitTorrent.
Yes, yeah. All the Linux distros.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying. Yeah, so Transmission. In any case, their website was compromised, and some like malicious folks uploaded an altered version of the Transmission installer that, in addition to installing Transmission, also installed this virus. And apparently the virus was on like a time, the malware was on like a delay, so it wouldn't install, it wouldn't start doing its thing immediately. It would wait like 3 days, and I guess they found it. So the reason it was a big deal is because they hooked into this approved like Apple like a developer with like an Apple approved like certificate. Macs, like your Mac would probably just be totally fine with you installing this software, so it wouldn't even do a double take really. But Apple like revoked the certificate, so I don't think the installation wouldn't work anymore, at the very least. But I don't know. And I think if you happen to install the bad version, there are like steps on the Apple website that you can take to make sure you don't get screwed over.
Yeah, and the Transmission folks have released a new version of the app that not only doesn't have the malware, but they claim will actively remove the bad files from your infected computer. And the, I don't know who said this, so I want to get it right. It's security experts suggest restoring your Mac from a system backup before you were infected, in case you fear you have been infected. So is this news? Is this a story, gentlemen? Is this worthy?
Oh, that
of
answered
our
my
attention?
question. I didn't know how the bad build, the bad version of the software is distributed in the first place. Like, was it a
Yeah,
malicious
it was
actor?
like through Transmission's website somehow.
Okay.
So it was like a
That-
double hack.
Yeah, hackception.
Yes.
Man, will
So,
Inception
but they also
jokes
must
ever
have
get old?
compromised the source code then, right? Like, they must have had
I
complete
think so,
access.
yeah. Right.
Well, apparently
I don't
Transmission
I
is,
don't know.
well, and I don't know the details, but apparently Transmission, it claims, is open source software.
Right, that's what was confusing me.
Yeah. So,
Because
So-
it's open source, you could build your own.
Right.
Got it. And they got around the gatekeeper thing by signing it with a different
Somehow.
certificate?
I don't know. Somehow they had it like properly signed.
Yeah.
I don't know why or how.
Yeah,
But that
that's crazy.
That was the yeah. Yeah, it was really really.
I
elaborate.
don't know
Some
if there's
Mr.
much else to
Robot
say.
stuff. Yeah.
well, I honestly, I think it's a success story. Right?
Sure, yeah,
because,
yeah.
Because not only did the Transmission folks relatively quickly notice it, put out clear instructions to users on how to disable it, how to update their software, and how to find if they're infected. Apple also very quickly used their certificate system to block any installs of that version of the software as well. So the system worked, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't have gotten out there in the first place, but at the very
Sure.
least, it did what it was supposed to.
The damage was minimal. Right.
You know, I mean, to be honest, I think if this were to happen on Windows, you know, even if there was a way to patch it through the OS, you wouldn't see that for a month. So, you know, I think there is value in the system, and the system worked.
Yeah. It's cool. I'm sure it also helps that, like, I feel like the volume of malicious software that Microsoft is dealing with is many orders of magnitude larger than the volume Apple is dealing with. So perhaps we should cut them a little slack on that front.
No, it's true. Hey, listen, and to be honest, I mean, you know, I think this is a unique case because it was slipped into legitimate software, right? As far as I know, most ransomware cases are people like download your printer driver update, and it's not really from your printer driver, and it's from some sketchy site, and people don't know what they're doing, right? But this was actually from the author kind of, essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, speaking of bad people online, I almost got fished the other day.
No.
Like, yeah, I don't know. This was for work. Like HubSpot, I guess we've been getting like a ton of like phishing emails, but it was a very convincing email, and I just clicked through and like reflex did my 1Password keyboard shortcut, and 1Password saved me because it saw that the URL was like not the URL that I had associated with that account. It was like, whoa.
Yep.
It wasn't like whoa, it just didn't show up. So
Right.
that was pretty tricky. They almost got me.
We've had
But
and there've been a serious rash of. We saw Western Digital this week. We saw Snapchat a few weeks ago, posing to administrators that, hey, it's me, the CEO of the company. I need you to send me your password for all of the personnel files, and people fall for it. They really do.
Yep.
And it's scary. Actually, it's funny. My company does this thing where my company sends fake phishing emails.
Yep.
To see who clicks on them, and of course, I know better, for the most part. But what I do first thing in the morning when I get up is I've got my phone, and half asleep, I just kind of scroll through to see if there's anything critical, that I need to open or read before I get out of bed, half asleep. Yeah. And there was one that said delivery notification. I'm like, I don't have a delivery. What the hell is this about? So of course, just half asleep, I open it. And it's this really fake looking delivery notice, but it was brown, so it looked kind of like UPS, even though it wasn't. Yeah. And on your phone, on the computer, it would have said the from address. When I would have seen the URL was bad, that's the first thing I look at. But on your phone, it just says the name of the sender, because that's just how iOS works. And so it looked relatively legit. So of course I clicked on it. And I get this notice where they're like, "You've been busted." This is why. So,
that's funny. The one that almost got me, the from address was HubSpot.com. Like they must have used some. I know there's ways you can do that with like proxy servers or whatever. I don't know, computers.
Yeah.
It was super clever.
It's gonna be.
I give them credit. They were there.
It goes to show, always be skeptical.
Yeah. At work they do that also, where they send out the fake phishing emails. Mm-hmm. The best one was an email that was sent to you, but it was supposed to be sent to someone else, and it said, "Here's a document you requested," and it was a zip folder that had the title, whatever it was, 2014 employee salary list. And if you open that, you got a stern talking to.
I'm sure. As you should.
But that was a good file name. Like, yeah.
And I bet a fair number of people
like package is good, but yeah.
Yeah, security's fascinating. Yeah. Also, like, big tech companies will hire, like, they call them, like, red teams to try and, like, break in. And they'll they'll try phishing and stuff, but they'll go so far as to, like, get on the campus and like try and put a flash drive in some computer. Very cool. That must be a great job to have. Like so much fun.
Okay,
you probably just get arrested all the time, right? Because no one knows it's happening.
Well, and there is the other side of that, the illegal side, which is companies who hire teams to, your competitor who will hire people to follow you around and to sit next to you at a restaurant while you're talking to somebody making a deal, or who will, the lengths they go to, or it's espionage.
It's
crazy, man. It's exciting. It's crazy. Illegal, but exciting. Maybe that's what
there's a good, I haven't listened to it in a long time, but there's a podcast, securityweekly.com, if you're into this sort of penetration testing stuff.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Colby always needs another podcast. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I still haven't caught up from New Orleans. I'm getting close though. I'm down to like one iPad screen of podcasts to listen to. I did have to delete a bunch because I had too many. Like I couldn't catch up, but I'm almost there now. And next week I'll be back to normal.
I've got no comment. Comment. All right, let's continue to another story in the rundown. I guess this means it's my turn to pick. and we are going to talk about we're talking about DirecTV and the fine folks at Atlantic Telegraph and Telephone.
Is
The
that what it
AT&T.
stands for?
That's what it originally stood for.
It's crazy.
Oh.
I think it's like one of those. What's the other company that dropped what the initials stand for? It's just AT&T now. It doesn't stand for anything.
What did SNET stand for?
SNET?
Southern New England Telephone. Maybe you guys didn't have
all those. Well, we had
Cox.
All right. Anyway, let's stick to the facts here. Before
now
this
it's
gets
Frontier Communications, apparently. So
a bunch of them. What was like CenturyLink is now a bunch of them. The problem is they broke the baby bells, they called them, right? Where the monopoly, they broke it up into all these small companies, and then they just all merged back into Verizon and CenturyLink, because Verizon's a bunch of them too. Yay, monopolies. Well, good news is at least the monopoly is going to give you more options. AT&T and DirecTV announced this week that they plan to launch a streaming TV service later this year. Here's how it is going to work. There'll be 3 tiers: DirecTV Now, DirecTV Mobile, and DirecTV Preview. Okay? Mobile option will be the lowest price and will only be available on smartphones. The Preview service will be free and ad-supported. Now, they're not going to say the pricing for the tiers yet, or specifically what channels you'll get. Of course, the third service, which is AT&T or DirecTV Now, will be more of a full streaming platform. But they expect it to be aggressive. A range of content packages, including on-demand and live programming from many networks, plus premium add-on options. They expect it to work on everything from your smartphone to your tablet, your smart TV, your set-top boxes, your PC, or other devices. It will not require an existing DirecTV service plan, set-top box, or satellite dish, and will not have any contract stipulations. Now, of course, this sounds similar to Sling TV or maybe even PlayStation Vue, both of which give you full access to television channels for a lower fee per month. No contract without hardware required. By the way, we also saw this week that PlayStation Vue announced that they were dropping their prices $10 a month on each of their packages as well. So,
yeah,
So
PlayStation Vue is really good.
What's the price on that now?
On which?
The PlayStation Vue.
Well, they have I believe 3 different tiers you can subscribe to. And if you give me a second, I will be happy to give you the exact prices. Go up, explore plans. So for 60 plus channels, it's $40 a month. 75 channels, $45 a month. And Elite, which has over 100 channels, for $55 a month. Sling, of course, I believe is still at 20. Of course, you only get, I think, 20 or 25 channels for that, with the ability to add on more channels in $10 increments. Basically, it wouldn't be a surprise to find DirecTV kind of priced somewhere in that range.
I got like direct mailed by Sling the other day.
Ooh.
They were like, "Please come back," because I did the free trial and then like forgot to cancel and accidentally paid for a month or 2 weeks or whatever their billing increment is. And then last week I got like a mail from them, like a real mail. It was weird.
Yeah, Dan. So you have Vue.
I had it. I don't watch enough TV to really. I've used it to watch TV, and it works really well.
Good.
The selection was pretty wide. That was a while ago too, and they've added more stuff, and it's become cheaper. I had Hulu for a couple months. I canceled that this weekend because I only have so much time to watch TV, and I have enough. Like, either the stuff I want is not on Hulu, and I'm gonna buy it anyways, or like there's plenty of Netflix or HBO Now stuff to carry me. I don't need, especially because they don't still like Rick and Morty season 2. I just bought it on Netflix or iTunes. I gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I've been using Hulu for a while, and like for there was a brief stretch where I was watching a bunch of stuff, but then like I realized most of the stuff I was watching on Hulu was just like really crappy television, and then I stopped. Like for a while it was entertaining, but then it started to get pretty repetitive. I mean, it was just like network TV stuff, right? But lost its appeal. Now I watch like The Daily Show, and that's pretty much it.
I have satellite TV in where I live now, and I barely watch it. I watch like maybe 3 shows. I mean, to be honest, I really spend most of my time in the Netflixes and the Hulus and the I'm one of the reasons I'm interested in this is I'm potentially moving very soon, and I really have no plans to get traditional television. Really, I think the only way what I think is going to happen, and this is what happened last time I had a place, was the internet provider made me such a ridiculously good deal for the first year to just throw TV in.
Yeah.
That it ended up being like $10 or $20 more a month to get the TV. So, I may end up doing that. But honestly, I don't.
You could end up with my situation where it is $20 or $25 more expensive to not have TV.
Exactly. So in that case, I would get it. But if that's not the case, honestly, I don't. I mean, the options are so good now, especially with this DirecTV thing coming, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, of course, I will point out PlayStation Vue is only in select cities, so that's not nationwide yet.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
In what is it? Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia, and the San Francisco Bay Area.
Still,
Sling
I'm
is
surprised they
nationwide.
haven't
Well, part of the reason and the difference between Vue and some of these others is Vue gets your local networks, your ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, and those deals they have to make by metro area. Now, what I don't understand is why they just don't not include them and just do the cable channels nationwide. But I guess that's for PlayStation to decide.
It is nice having those because, like, it's like having TV.
Right.
You can turn on the local news and see stuff that's actually happening around you.
Yes, and that is a big. And they're, as far as I know, the only people who have that ability for streaming. So that is a huge plus for that service. So it's interesting. I'm always excited to see what they're launching and what DirecTV can come up with and where it's priced and what it has and what's the advantage to DirecTV doing it is, of course, they already have the existing relationships with the channels from negotiating and from buying carriage and all that stuff. So it'll be curious to see if that gives them any more leverage. Of course, Sling, by the way, is owned by Dish, so their competitor. So it is interesting to see them pushing that forward.
Cool.
Television,
man.
No more cable subscriptions.
That's right. Cancel it. Now it's just all
Internet
streaming
TV.
subscriptions.
The dream of the 90s is alive today.
Yes. On your television. All right. We've gotten that out of the way. Let's see how we're doing for time. We're doing great on time. We can do more news. Let's see. We've got Project Phi. We've got Amazon Echo products. We've got Facebook with the NFL. What's up, guys? What are we thinking?
Is it Project Phi or Project Phi? I always assumed it was Phi like Wi-Fi, but I would totally believe that it's Phi.
I feel like the first time I saw it, I would have said Phi. But it makes sense. Again, I didn't think of the Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone I guess we must have talked about it on the show.
Well, and they talked about it at Google I/O, so someone said it out loud at some point. Just, I guess, not that memorable.
Weird.
But now you can pay more attention, Colby, because you can get it now. Project Phi Fo Fum, however you want to pronounce it, is now available without an invite. So previously it had been invitation only. Now it's available everywhere in the U.S. If you don't remember what Project Phi, if you forgot what it is, I'm happy to remind you. It is Google's own mobile network. It combines the power of Sprint and T-Mobile networks, in addition to what they claim is a very strong Wi-Fi coverage and public hotspots. And the idea being is that if you're on a call or surfing with data or whatever, it'll seamlessly transition you between all these networks for really great coverage. Their other big advantage was that it is very cheap. If you remember correctly, what is it? It's a $20 base price, and then you only pay for the data you use in gigabyte increments. So it's $10 per 1 gigabyte. In addition to releasing it for everybody, they're also discounting the Nexus 5X. You can now get it for $199 as a way to get started on the service for the next month.
And this works with any phone now?
No. So this only works with certain phones, and I believe right now it's only the 5X and the 6P, the Nexus phones. And I don't know if they have any intention of doing it more broadly.
I wonder why that is. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Very few people have the Nexus phones. And it's not... Is it a value add for getting a Nexus phone?
I mean, I could speculate. I don't think it's a technological problem. It obviously requires special software, and because they don't want the hassle of partnering with a Samsung or an LG to get this software on those phones. I would also say that there aren't a lot of incentives for people to get Nexus phones, or at least average consumers, right? Sure, it's a more pure Android experience, but I don't think your average person really cares too much about that. Right. I think this is a good incentive because this is the best way to get an Nexus phone, is to do it through Google. So it wouldn't surprise me if in the long term they rolled it out to more, but for now, I think they're just going to stick with the Nexus, which makes sense. And of course, Google I/O is coming up in May or June. May. So we may see more announcements there.
That would be exciting.
I actually think this is really exciting because I remember they announced this last year at I/O, and I remember hearing about it but not really paying that much attention because it was kind of one of those weird projects by Google. But
well, it was like invitation only, and only if you had like this one phone. So it was like, oh, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, and it was like, well, they're trying this thing, but the pricing is crazy good. I use under 2 gigabytes of data a month, and which would put my phone bill at $40 a month, which is pretty competitive. The fact that it's using both Sprint and T-Mobile in addition to Wi-Fi for good reception. Oh
yeah, that's cool.
So
I think this is a value add for the Nexus phones then.
It is, and the Nexus phones are very well reviewed. I mean they're obviously not super mainstream, but they're good phones.
They're not well marketed, is what they're not.
No,
yeah.
But I'd be curious if Google's serious about this, if they're really going to push it, because they haven't.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think sounds worth trying. I've always been a little intrigued by the like third party cell networks. I don't know. Like, I don't see any reason they wouldn't be fine. I don't know. Well, like, why don't I have one of those? I have no idea.
It's T-Mobile and Sprint. Like, this is the only phone I know of that does multiple carriers at the same time, which is really exciting. Because I don't think either of those networks is particularly strong on their own, but through their powers combined, they are a better network. So, if I were in the market for a phone and a network, this would be pretty interesting.
But I'm looking up my data usage.
I do love my iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, I use like 2 gigs, so that would be like this would cut my bill in half. Yeah.
And you pay for what you use. So if the next month you only use 1.
Right.
You're not locked in. Or if the next month you use 3, they'll only charge you 10 instead of some big overage.
Mm-hmm. Sigh.
Yeah. It's worldwide data, calls and text. I mean, it's got all kinds of good stuff going.
Does it have worldwide LTE or just
3G?
Gotcha. I mean, that's what T-Mobile is too.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some reason for that.
I have a dark horse story I would like to submit.
Whoa, hey, what calling an audible here? All right, bring it in. What's the scoop?
What does that mean? Calling an audible?
Yeah, that's a football term.
That's a football thing.
That's when the quarterback. It's when the quarterback goes up to the line, and of course the coach has already called a play, but he sees something on the field that causes him to change the play at the last minute. You'll see a quarterback where they'll get down, but then they'll stand back up and they'll shout something or they'll point something out, and they'll say, "Blue 32, Omaha, set 8, hut," and then they go back, and that's calling an audible.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Did either of you see this story about Microsoft taking their database software to Linux? And
I did hear it.
this is one of the big money makers for Microsoft. Here, I'll put the story in the show notes. SQL Server, which you might have heard of. Uh,
Squeakle server?
Squeakle Server. It's sort of like if you heard of Oracle. It's their Oracle competitor, really,
Mm.
and it makes them a fair bit of money. One of the features is both a downside and an upside of it is that it only runs on Windows. So if no matter how good a product it is, if you're in like a predominantly Linux company, you won't buy it because you're not worth the cost of taking on and running a whole separate system. But yeah, this is another example of Microsoft doing something that 5 years ago we thought never would have happened. They have an IDE that they've released for free that runs on Mac and Linux and Windows, and now SQL Server too, which is an enterprise product, paid for, licensed, will be available for you to buy on Linux. It's pretty crazy.
Can you buy things for Linux?
You can,
What?
yeah.
I thought they just gave everything away. I thought that was just all.
That's the Richard Stallman's
I
view
thought that's what the
on.
torrents were for. I'm confused now.
Yeah, you don't have to have your software be open source for it to run on Linux.
I learn something new every day. This is
Skype
amazing.
runs on Linux, not very well, and it's not open source.
Technically runs.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah, I thought it was cool.
Nice.
I also liked in this blog post they multiple times referred to the Magic Quadrant. Let me give you a quote here. Gartner recently named Microsoft as leading the industry in their Magic Quadrant for operational database management systems in both execution and vision.
Are you familiar with the Magic Quadrant, Dan? Have you ever done
No,
this?
no, no. You're a businessman.
Yes.
Could you explain the Magic Quadrant to me?
I
Have you heard of this before?
Oh, absolutely. I've done a Magic Quadrant.
What?
Yeah, this is
I've
never
this
heard
is
of
what they
this
teach in
before.
business. My business minor coming in handy here.
Yeah.
I actually read Gartner reports at work. No, this is it's just basically a way of grading companies against each other. So you make two axes of some kind of quality, right? So it may be price versus quality of product. Okay. And the idea being is that usually the top right quadrant is the best because usually it's in this case it might be low price, high quality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they always, to be honest, they always cheat and make the Magic Quadrant look really good to a certain company, where they kind of skew it. It's all really made up. But Microsoft, by winning the Magic Quadrant, meant they were the farthest top right because they were the most in whatever the two axes were, but they call it the quadrant, where it's you want to be in the good quadrant. For example, that if the top right's the best, the bottom left is usually the worst.
Uh-huh.
And so it's just this made up kind of graphic to show comparing companies to one another on a certain set of
Interesting.
dimensions. Yes, it's very innovation. It's very business.
Right, synergy.
Synergy.
Never badmouth synergy, Lemon. It's
No,
bigger than both of us.
I love to do that to coworkers. I'll put in meetings invites. I'll be like, yeah, we're scheduling it to look for business solution opportunities to extend our contribution margin and grow EBITDA over the next 4 quarters. And they'll be like, Sean, what does that mean? I go, I don't know. I made that up. I just need to ask a question on this. So, yeah, I didn't know we'd get Linux and the Magic Quadrant both in the same story, but somehow we did.
Yeah,
That's good.
there we go. We've covered all of our bases.
We have, and I think that's the best way possible to transition us to picks this week, because we're out of time on news. I will jump in and go first, because I decided so. Now, I like on the show to share the tips and tricks of podcasting. Not that I'm a pro, but I've learned a few things over the last nearly 3 years,
Yeah.
by the way, of us doing this. 124 shows later.
Except how to turn on the recording thing.
Except, yeah, okay. I'm not perfect. I'm the problem. The technology works. So, I've picked before XSplit for mixing. I've picked other things I can't. MP3 tag I picked. But today, if you record audio, you may know it's very hard to get levels right, to get those highs and lows to kind of even out, how to get noise reduced. It's very hard. I tried in what is the, oh my god, my brain is not working today. In Adobe Audition, that's what I was thinking of, which is what I use to do the audio. To get it with all the filters just right, and I never found an answer until I found the tool professional full-time podcasters use, by the way, Levelator. Tom Merritt actually recommended this. If you know Tom Merritt, who a longtime podcaster and internet personality, it's available. The link will be on our website. You can just Google the Levelator, and it's these guys programmed this, and all it does is you drop in a WAV file, and it spits out a WAV file automatically corrected. You don't have to set a thing or do a thing. It's all algorithmic. It just does it. Cool. And if you listen to our shows over the last few weeks, hopefully you're saying, wow, that sounds a lot better than it used to. Well, that's because we're using the Levelator now. So if you were into audio, into especially speaking audio, go to our website to get the link or Google the Levelator. It's free. It's no longer supported, but it works great. So use it for now. For Windows, Mac, and Linux. The Levelator, making your audio sound real good.
Nice.
We got a couple of Netflix picks here. Colby, why don't you go first?
Sure. So, y'all might remember a while ago, Dan picked that food-related Netflix documentary series called Chef's Table, which was about chefs. So they recently, in the most recent batch of like new stuff, they released this new one called Cooked, which is shorter. It's only 4 episodes, but it's just sort of about like the science and history of food. And they take. So I haven't watched the last episode. I've watched the first 3. Wait, I might have watched the last episode. I take it back. I watched all of them. And it's like it's 4 episodes, and it's like fire, water, air, and earth or something. I don't know. And the first one's about like cooking with fire. The second one's about cooking with water. The third one's about like bread. And the last one, I don't know if I watched them all. I think there might be one left. I don't remember the last one in any case. But it's pretty interesting. It's a little like, I guess, preachy. Like the guy. So it's the guy who's like sort of the host of the documentary, like wrote a book, and the series is based on his book that he wrote. And he has some like opinions about like sustainability and like health and global warming and things like that. So there's definitely some like bias towards that kind of things. If you, I don't know, like believe in science, you'll probably be fine with it. But but it was really good. It was really interesting, and it inspired me to make bread. The one about bread was very cool. So turns out you need almost nothing to make bread. I ordered a Dutch oven because you do need that for many breads, or some breads. The bread I'm gonna make.
You're getting into breads.
Yeah. So cocktails aren't enough anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fucking love bread though. Oh my god. And like they just went through like the sort of industrialization of bread, and like like I eat bread from the store, and it's like sort of a compromise. It's certainly not as good as bread that's like actually made by people, and not in factories. Not to say that people don't make the bread that comes in the store, but I don't know. It was kind of cool. It was like pretty. I guess I think inspiring is the wrong word, but it like piqued my interest. So, yeah, check it out if you're into learning about food. It also inspired me to power through some more of Chef's Table. So I watched like 4 episodes of Chef's Table last night.
Which one's your favorite now?
I mean, I like the Blue Hill guy. That was cool. Uh, I don't know. They were all cool in different ways, I think. Cool and also like pretentious. I don't know. It's like a
Do
mix.
you think the first guy was pretentious though? The
Uh, I,
Italian
I
guy?
I watched it so long ago that I kind of can't remember.
Okay.
I feel like I may have a little, but
All right. Yeah,
I
the
did
other
like
guys.
the
And yeah.
I liked the woman, the Japanese woman from
Yeah, yeah,
LA.
yeah. Yeah.
She was not pretentious.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but the other ones were it was a little like so I really like the Blue Hills one because I feel like his personal story was so like wrapped up in the restaurant. It was like all about the restaurant and the food. But the other ones were like way more about the chefs themselves and like their personal beliefs about like life than I wanted to hear about, I think.
Fair enough.
But yeah.
I've watched the first episode of that 4 or 5 times probably.
Wow. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to rewatch it.
I think that first guy is totally not pretentious. Like, seems like a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
And in the same sort of way where, like, and I think his wife puts it really well. She's like, when he asked me to marry him on the day that the restaurant opened, I realized that he wasn't asking me to marry him. He was asking me to marry him and the restaurant. They came together
Yeah.
and were each like, they're intertwined. It's crazy, like bananas. Like who would say something like that, and what kind of person would accept that? But interesting. Chef's Table, like in 2015, did we do top picks of 2015?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, I didn't pick Chef's Table. What did I pick?
Well, I was just about to look that up.
I guess here I'll
Pick of the year. You picked Mad Max.
Mad Max was good.
Mm.
Mad Max was good. I don't
But
know.
your
though.
second runner-up would have been
Chef's Table
Chef's
for
Table.
sure. Although, yeah, The Witcher was up there too.
There's just too much good stuff last year.
Yeah, last 2015 was, on the whole of it, entertainment-wise at least, a good year.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's cooked. And Dan, you have something on a very similar.
Yeah,
note.
speaking of TV shows, this weekend, as I mentioned earlier, I think, I started watching House of Cards, Season 4. I did not like Season 3. Sean liked Season 3. He's wrong. But I think probably, I'm betting, Sean, neither of us have finished it, but I'm betting we'll both be able to agree that Season 4 is better than Season 3.
Yes. So far,
yeah.
yes.
I think we'll be able to agree on that. It has a lot of the stuff that you like, that I liked from episode Season 2. And it's just, back to the skeeving, conniving, high-pressure political stakes that I really, really liked. There's I won't say anymore. It's pretty relevant to this election cycle. Like, not... I was sort of expecting, like, them to crip more stuff from the headlines than they did. It's not actually that tied into it, but there are some things that could end up happening in our presidential election this year that happens in this presidential election fictionally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool. And it's like, I did some research on some of these things, and these are actual rules, and it would work this way if it happened.
It
was
scares
cool.
me a little bit because I'm afraid of if anyone in our government actually realizes that these are real things that could happen. They start getting ideas.
Oh, I think they all know.
I'm like, oh boy.
The other thing that struck me, though, is as I was watching this, compared to when I watched Season 3 last year, and I remember when it first came out, it was like 2012, 2013?
Yeah.
First came out, and I was like, man, this is like insane. There's no way that there are any politicians who are actually this crazy. And now Frank Underwood looks like a saint.
I'd vote for him.
Oh yeah, all these people, like, please, at least he gets stuff done and like isn't actively screwing the entire country over.
Yeah,
Like
just
at
the
least
few people
that.
around him. Yeah.
Just the for the greater good. Yeah. And House of Cards season 4, I've been enjoying it a lot.
Well, yeah, and a mini suggestion: if you've never watched House of Cards, stop what you're doing and go watch the first season. If you've started House of Cards and fell behind on seasons 2 or 3, Dan's idea was good. Go to season 4; they do a good recap. I would recommend you catch up with all the episodes, but don't feel obligated because you can go to season 4 and get caught up.
Good to know.
It's worth watching. Now, Dan, I will follow that up with a question: have you ever watched The West Wing?
Yeah, a little bit. But and this, I have a friend who I showed her House of Cards, and she was like, "Well, you need to see The West Wing." And coming from House of Cards to The West Wing is like it's something I would put on in the same time I would watch The Next Generation or
Yes, it's very idealistic.
Yeah, How I Met Your Mother, like
Yes.
something to just sort of have on, not really pay attention to make you feel good. And that's not House of right. Those aren't
very
the same
different.
thing.
But
Yeah.
that's I like to compare and contrast because they are extremely different.
Yeah.
But I love both, so I just was curious.
Yeah, I watched the first couple seasons of The West Wing recently, and I really enjoyed it. It was also weird for me seeing Chris Traeger in another.
Yeah,
I can't
Rob Lowe,
Rob Lowe.
Yep.
I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, I feel like The West Wing's really good. Like super inspirational. Like after watching The West Wing, I felt much less despair about like what is going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
It made me feel good about the country, but I don't think that was like I don't necessarily think it's reflective of reality.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. Such a big fan. You should go to upfordebate.tv and go back to episode 1. That was the very first thing we talked about on Up for Debate previously. The Goldilocks Zone was the West Wing.
you know, I think that episode of Up for Debate, the Goldilocks Zone, was what put the like placeholder in my head to go listen to it.
There you go.
Or I'm sorry, watch it.
Excellent. Well, all of these picks will be on the website, don'tpanic.io. We'll have links to them. You can go there, check it out. You should go to the website anyway because it's got all of our past episodes, audio and video, all the links where to subscribe, follow us on social media. I will highlight a few select ones here for you now. At Don't Panic Show on Twitter. don'tpanicshow@gmail.com for email. youtube.com/don'tpanicshow where you can watch the video versions. They look crisp.
Like a crisp $1 bill.
Just like a fall apple, crisp. Anything else from you, gentlemen, before we wrap this evening?
No. Go binge watch House of Cards.
Go binge watch House of Cards, and then after you get done with that, go binge watch Game Nights at GameNights.tv. Watch us play Dungeons and Dragons because we've got 16 episodes now. It's like a whole season.
Yeah.
Move fast.
We hustle. It seems like only yesterday we started. so check that out at GameNights.tv.
Yeah, it still blows my mind how like invested I get in the game we're playing sometimes.
It's legitimately fun.
Yeah,
Like, it's
imagination, man.
I know. I'm honestly
Shit's crazy.
I wish we had figured this out a couple of years ago when we could do it physically in person in college.
Yeah.
And had the time and the proximity to do it.
Well,
But better late than
Someday.
I think I have more time now than I did then, I think.
that may be
But-
true.
It would have been nice to play it in person.
Yeah.
I still like the idea of doing like a special in-person edition like we thought about doing over New Year's.
I'd love to do it. If we can find the time, I'm on board.
Yeah. Maybe as part of our New York Don't Panic field trip.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. We need to do a whole itinerary, a whole weekend. This is
Oh
great.
my god. We can all go to Matt's house or something.
Kick down his door. His
that's
his
right.
mom would love it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Fantastic.
This is someone should tell Matt before we start committing to this. All right, well, don't worry about it, right? He'll be fine. All right, on that note, we're going to conclude. We'll be back next week, Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, for a brand new episode of Don't Panic. On behalf of Colby and Dan, this is Sean, thanking everybody for joining us. Hoping we'll see you next week for another episode of Don't Panic.